Hello and welcome to another weekly live stream. This is where fellow Mythrunians and I hang out and work on the game a little bit. Tonight we'll be trying to finish up the release that I'll be cutting tomorrow. I think I'll initially release it to the same link down there at the bottom, and then later this week when I redo my website a little bit, we'll make it like fully public after get some burn in and some people can try it out a little bit first. Anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. You can see scrolling in the lower left the patrons. They're the ones who help me keep the lights on. And it's just nice to know that I have support. Oh, I forgot to grab my... Yeah, I've been sick, so my nose is all dried out, like the outside of it. I'm better now, but like it's got like scabs and stuff. Like, I know, lovely, but extra thing for me to play with while I'm on the live stream. Hey Lando, how's it going? Number one. Cool. All right. So this says we have excellent connection. That's always good to know. I've got the game running here for a second because I was going to talk about. I did get the property stuff working. So let me show you so you can see what I'm talking about. Show the property areas. Yes, it's showing me the size of my stronghold, which is this blue area here for this character, which means if I have my build one equipped, I can place blocks here. I can place blocks out in the open world, of course, because that's like anybody's domain. But over here in this red area, I don't have permission to place here, so when I try to place it, it's just going to tell me I can't do it. I can't delete blocks. I also can't place objects. Like if I try to place a chair, it's not going to let me place a chair. It wouldn't let me drag a chair, whereas over here, I can place a chair, I can drag it around, I can delete it, all that good stuff. So all that's working. Allergy season, itchiness all over. Yeah. Well, and I was really sick this past week. I only just recently got better. Like the worst cold I've ever had in a really long time. Like wasn't COVID, but I don't think I've had a cold that bad since COVID. Anyway, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So one of the things I was working on right before this started was before when you would edit the names in here, like if you did chair 1, 2, 3, chair 4, 5, 6, and then you did undo, it would only undo it wouldn't undo a character at a time. Now it undoes a character at a time. So that's good. The ball's in the sky. The ball's in the sky. Maybe you are talking about that's not balls. Those are the that's the what do you call them? Envelopes, the air sacs for the airship. Balls in the sky. So if we come up here and we can stand up here. I always think the property zones look really cool at night, but let's go ahead and so anyway, right before the live stream started, I was fixing it for clothing too, and I noticed that while I made it work for clothing, one of the issues was, why is getting so much stuff? One of the issues was that when you go over here and you do like 1, 2, 3, that's all fine. Except for every time you edit one of these, it's also redrawing this. And so when you do undo, it's like taking 350 milliseconds to do the undo and the redo. And that's because it thinks that because there is any edit at all, it redraws the clothing, which takes a bit. Yep, I remember. Nice. Yeah, there's lots of airships on the old server, and so like this will be a full. They will be a full thing in the game pretty soon. Anyway, I'm trying to fix this performance. That's what I was working on right before the live stream. But yeah, so this is my take on a small airship with actually got a hole in the and the thing that's not supposed to be there. And here's where the controls would be, right? So you could steer your airship around. I don't think it would let me drag this one because I'm not allowed to move objects in this area. Eventually they'll be like physical. I mean, they are physical. I'm walking around it. But eventually they'll be movable physics objects that have the like engines that propel them and stuff. But right now they're just static objects. The airship can move, but only if I like drag it like an object. It will eventually move, yes. It's not yet. But I put them in there because they kind of give sort of the vision of the game. So when I'm taking screenshots and stuff, it's kind of nice to have one hanging out. You can come walk around on top of the air sacs. Yeah, they're like round too, so you can come up here. I just think it's cool that they're actual spheres, so you can come running down there. Anyway, yeah, we'll never really settle down. So anyway, we're working on the performance of the thing, the clothing editor fields. And I think what I need to do is track there's like cells we edit, and I need to basically version them so that I can track those separately. I have to be careful because I risk messing up undo and redo completely. I think that we are modifying the builder. Yeah, so we set the cells on the builder. And then when the player clicks on something, trying to figure out, here we go. Builder, get top value, blah, blah, blah. History, except swatch edit. That's what we're looking for. I think this is private to, it's not. Or maybe it's a separate class. Swatch edit. It is. Ta-da. Okay, so builder add value, builder remove swatch. And so clothing builder, I want to basically make it versioned. And how best to do that? I think that is over here. No. Okay. Is it over here? Clothing builder, it is. So we could so when we add value version plus plus, it's already versioned. Well, shoot, that makes it easy. But why didn't I do this before? Alright, so builder. So in Lemur, JMonkey Engine, basically in games, the screen is constantly refreshing, refresh. In a normal GUI, normal user interface, when you create a component, you would add listeners to that in a model view controller sense. You would add listeners to that. When something changed, it would fire off the listeners, and then everybody could do their thing. But then you have to manage the listeners. You have to remember to clean them up later, or you end up with leaks and stuff. And in Mythruna, JMonkey Engine games, it's constantly polling, and so I use these versioned references instead, where basically they keep, so like in this case, the clothing builder keeps track of how many changes it's had, its version, and the versioned reference keeps track of what was the last version we saw. And when we go and builder ref update, it'll like compare them, and if the versions change, it says, oh, by the way, this changed. And in many ways, if you're already going to be polling every frame anyway, this is less expensive because you don't have to worry about cleaning up your listeners, basically references. When they go away, they go away. Also, if the clothing builder changed, like 500 times, we just see the update once, which is cool. So now that we have this, we ought to be able to come in here into the update and do this. So basically we're saying if that builder has changed at all, repaint the view. And so that should make undo and redo only as expensive as what it is undoing and redoing. So when we're just updating text, it shouldn't be very long. But we shall see. I turned back on the music a little bit so that we'd have like a little extra background stuff. Although I'm sure it's quiet, you can probably barely hear it. I really can't wait to get to the point where the game can have contextual music cues. There's some world generation stuff that has to happen first for that to work properly. But then I can start adding more music to the game. Alrighty, come on. Let's hope this works, then we can move on to the next thing. Try to see how many things we can get knocked out tonight. Come on, game. Alright, well, we don't have to wait for it to load, but I will. Oh, come on. Here we go. I will fast forward us to daylight, though. Okay, so clothing. Let me come in here. Add the clothing. I want to wait for this to settle down. I'm not sure why it's going so crazy. Logs. I've removed a bunch of logs. We're getting all kinds of long style queries. Oh yeah, this issues a bunch of them. It's not as efficient as it could be. Okay, we caught up. So how do we come here and do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and undo should be just as fast. Correct. And now if I was to come over here and start popping leather down, erasing a few, and then I do undo, 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 undo. Yep. Cool. Nice. Well, thank you. I mean, I'm going for a specific aesthetic as far as the look and feel of... I always want my game to look like, well, the Block World version of those old D&D paintings, like that used to come into the, the Dungeons and Dragons manuals and stuff. So I'm going for a more painterly look than realism. Should look like a page out of one of those books when I'm done. That's what the idea is anyway. Which is why I like this view. The control, if you're playing the game, Control F12 will switch to the sketch mode. And eventually that'll be a mechanic in the game where you can make your own in-game sketches and things. But okay, so that fixed that problem. Now I can commit those. Hi Woozy, how's it going? Just gonna jump a bunch of garbage, but I need to know. I think these two are the ones I want to add. I'm gonna try to keep Git up to date as I go, so I don't forget things. For Alt F4, no. That's funny though. Yep, I am feeling better. Thank you for asking. Yeah, Thursday morning I turned a corner, which was good because I had tickets to go out to a show Thursday night, and I had already paid for them, and I was not looking forward to having to eat the cost. Undo works per character for name fields. So fixed the update, refresh, undo, redo with the close that builder. Oops. Oh, typing too fast. Okay, so that's another one we can mark off the list, which was yeah, 1150. Go up here to 1150. Mark it done. Yay, one more thing done. Oh yeah, that's something we can work on. Let's refresh this real quick. Let me make sure there's not something we can do higher priority real quick, because I mentioned something else while we were messing around a minute ago. I thought I did anyway. I guess not. So yeah, let's real quickly. So let me show you what I'm talking about. For a long time, so there's been snow blocks in the game for a while. And I don't know if you guys have ever made a snow fort before, but snow actually lets light through. And I would like a little bit of light to come through. I think I did this before and it looked really bad, so we'll try it. I think I wanted it to be like Mythruna blocks can't filter the light, so it can't change the color of the light. Oops. But for sure the ice blocks, it's really weird that they're dark, and I'll show you what I mean. I don't know if we can actually get to the level of detail I want. Well, we'll investigate this a little bit. I have to fix that one bad block name anyway. Excuse me. Okay, so let's fast forward a little bit. Oops, I keep doing that. I slightly missed the button. And if you click in here, it puts your UI in a weird state where you've got to hit the tab to get things back. Okay, so I think we got to go back to our build wand. All right, and then E, and let's do one of snow. Okay, so let's go back up to where I can edit. We'll make a little igloo up here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So let's say I made this little snow fort. Not quickly, but, you know. So even though these are blocks of snow, if I was to go in here and close myself in, it should not be pitch black, right? There should be a little bit of light that comes through. And the same holds true for the ice blocks, which I think it's even worse in the sense that, solid ice blocks would certainly let some light through. You know, snow, as thick as this snow is, you can kind of see it. That maybe, you could kind of use your imagination to say, well, maybe it's really thick snow, Let's make another one. I mean, this ice is pretty opaque, and I want to fix that at some point. But maybe we can fix that today. Because I do want the ice blocks to be a bit transparent. Let's see, like, it's pitch black in here, and this is ice. It should be kind of clear. I wish I had a snow fort. Yeah. So, like, I come in here, and, like, this is pitch black. Oh, it's not quite pitch black. I think that's a bug, actually, though. Yeah. It just hadn't relit the... So, anyway, I want to fix that. And the ice, maybe I do want to make it barely transparent at least, so you can kind of see through it. Let's fix the lighting first and see how that feels. So we do that in the shaper tool, which is Mythruna's extension of the standard part of the open source MOS libraries. And in this case, Mythruna barely extends it. Like, it adds a couple shapes that aren't in the standard set, like the thatch and some other things. But while we're in here, let me see, what was the other one? Where's the one? In the wedge. Oh, are all of them spelled badly? That's not something I would fix like this then. Okay, so let's go down to all the ice blocks. I think I moved the ice cube down here. Ice cube. Where do I define the transparency? Right there. And so yeah, each direction gets its own transparency. And this is not the transparency of the texture. It's how much light gets let through. So for now, let's just do the cube, and let's say from this direction, whoops, we'll let 0.5, and south we'll let 0.5, and east we'll let 0.5, and west we'll let 0.5, up 0.5. So this is kind of a pain. And then there shouldn't be any internal transparency. Okay. So let's save the blocks. Let's do this for snow too while I'm here. I think snow only has cubes right now. I need to add a search. I officially have enough block types that I need a search in this because it's going to take forever to find. Yeah, regarding the snow, considering where we are and the normal summertime temperatures, it hasn't been too bad here. So for snow, let's say 0.75, I think. Oh, that's interesting. It's already acting different. Southeast, west, up, and down. Okay. All right. Okie dokie. Save the blocks. Compile them. All right. Now let's go back and run the game. Kidoki. I just noticed that some of you guys in chat have these little crowns. What does that mean? Oh, you got XP. Interesting. That's cool. Nice. Now you guys have something to aspire to, I suppose. It's a cool feature. Gamification of participation, I guess. I don't know, and I don't know how you get it. Yeah, I don't know what it's all about. I just noticed it. It's kind of neat, I guess. A neat idea. Encourages participation, maybe? I don't know. Alright. Let's turn the lights back up. Oh, it's going to be daylight soon. Frick. I need to fix that, was what I need to do. Okay, so first of all, I need to like get rid of the ceiling and let it Okay, so now if I close this place in, it should, and I probably should do similar for each of these, but so now if we close it in, we're still lit in here. It looks a little weird though, you know. But it's still, I think, better than... It should still be darker. Yeah. We definitely get lighter when we... and so let's do the snow too. Yeah. So the snow should be not quite as bright when we close it in. This is like problematic. Wait, I think I had this backwards. 0% transparency is fully opaque. Yeah. So the snow should be like 0.1, 0.25. So the snow is actually brighter than the ice right now. Okay, so let me do two things. Let me edit the so let's open source main resource, not here, block set, source main resources. It's gonna find the ice PSD. There's the ice texture. Oh, wow. Nice. Okay, so what if I turn all these off and turn this on? Okay, so that's what that does. Okay, so let me take this and make a merged copy, because that will let me set the transparency. And trying to decide how I want to do it though. Well, okay, I'm not going to get too bogged down, but there's like I could vary the opacity so that like the cracks were more opaque than the thing, but we're just gonna wing it for now. Let's try 80% and see what we like. So it would look like this or this. Yeah, so let's say export that as PNG. Save. And it's going to make me find the spot again. This is what we should be devoting AI to. Figuring out the right folder to be in when we go and save something, because it's always wrong. Okay, let me go ahead and save this as well. Okay, so that should give us some semi-transparency in there. And then over here, let me fix the... Yeah, if you guys figure out how you gain XP on YouTube, that'd be pretty interesting to know. Alright, so first let's go down and fix our ice. I think ice is okay, but because I've made it transparent, I have to give it a group. It's cool, I could also give it a slightly blue emission, but I think let's just make it 20% transparent and see what we think about that. Actually, let's leave. We have snow as another example, so I'm going to leave snow at. I'm going to make snow like 10%, and then leave this at 50, and then if this is too bright or whatever, based on the transparency, we can fix it. But the group needs to be different than the other groups. But let's see what glass is, because I might just make it the same as glass. And I will explain what that means in a second, or I'll do that while we're looking for glass. So when two blocks are next to each other, it decides that, you know, one face won't be drawn. Like if we pulled ourselves inside of all these blocks, all these interior faces are not being drawn. But when something is transparent, it needs to decide if it's going to draw the face that's between it and the transparency. Because for two glass blocks next to each other, you wouldn't want to draw all those individual blocks. So this is group one. And so basically objects in the same transparency group won't draw the shape. So if another glass block here, it's in the same transparency group, it wouldn't draw this interface between them. And I think I'll make ice the same. So if the ice and a glass block are next to each other, it won't draw that surface between them, and I could always change it later, but so let's just make this group 1. I've got to go back and fix them all, but this one will work for now. Save blocks, compile blocks. There's actually scripts I can run that'll change all of them at once, but so we might do that. But this is why art takes a while sometimes, because there's lots of tweaking, and then you got to see what it looks like in the game. But I really kind of like the idea of glaciers of solid ice, and then have dungeons that generate in the glaciers that are also solid ice. So so they have ice walls, basically they're just carved out of the ice, because then you could see light coming through the walls and stuff. I think it'd be cool. And maybe there's like glowing ice that you could put in there for the lighting. Ice that has something in it that makes it glow. Anyway, I think visually I can picture it. It looks really cool if I can make it look right. Not for this release, obviously, but anyway, it just bugs me that ice is completely opaque like stone. Very dirty ice. Alright. Are we still at nighttime, or did we clip over to daytime yet? I'm still inside the thing, so. Alright. Let's take the ceiling out. Oh, I didn't go and fix snow. Never mind. So let's putz with the let's mess with the ice. Okay, so we can take this away. Oh, is it not transparent? Can I not see through it? There may be something else that needs to be done to make a block transparent. Hey, we found a glitch. Oh, I have to make the material marked transparent. Whoa. Yeah, so there is an interesting glitch when walking through certain corners. Neat. You are experiencing portal blindness. Sounds a bit detached. I'm open for better phrasing. Yeah, that's bad. Ooh. We pop right through the corner. Does it do that for the snow block too? Yep. Oh boy. It doesn't seem to do it all the time though, because I've had many cases where I saw like a bunch of stuff scroll by, so maybe we've got actually a bug. Nope. Alright, that's not the problem I'm trying to solve today. So let's go back in here. Oops, blink, blink. Put this back. Well, I wanted to... Portal blindness is kind of a condition that happens to you when you go through a portal. So it's not that you're being blinded by the portal, but you actually have portal blindness. Like when you get snow blind. The snow blinded you, but now you have snow blindness, right? Where you can't see. And I need to like indicate to the player somehow that this is not a bug in the game. But something that has happened to you. And maybe not always because of a portal that you've gone through, but for something else. And certainly snow blindness I want to be a thing eventually. So why? Okay, let's fix the transparentness so you guys get to see the ins and outs of the material file. Assuming I can find where I want to be in this nest of files. I believe I want to be in here. And materials. Nope, not that. Source main shaper materials.json. There we go. Okay, so if we go to ice, first let's go to glass. Whoops. So glass has an alpha discard threshold, which we don't really need to worry about. Glass specular render state alpha. And that's in the main one. Okay. So I think it's like that. And then the other thing we had set was glass alpha, but glass specular. I think that needs to be true also. So right after shininess, glass specular, and block lighting, we require normals. Alpha discard threshold doesn't really work here, which may end up being a problem. Okay, so that should have fixed ice. Okay, and we should be able to see that when we run the shaper, which we'd have to run anyway to recalculate. Anyway, you are experiencing portal blindness. I would expect the same kind of message if you are bleeding, your leg is falling off, that kind of thing. The game indicating to you that you have some status effect enabled. I don't know if that helps come up with better language or not, but that's what I'm thinking when I'm putting that there. Okay, so these should all be semi-transparent now. Yep, okay, so, and maybe that is too transparent, but we're getting somewhere. And I can actually see what it would look like as a solid shape. If we come down here with the ice cube. So this is what it would look like, as a solid mass. So it's not bad. I think I might want to make it a little less transparent. What did we make it? I think we did 80%. Yeah. I think I need to see what it looks like in game. But actually from here it looks pretty cool and more like ice. Already looks more like ice than it did before. So that's a good sign. What does it look like one of the other shapes? This is pretty good. Yeah. Alright, so let's go, whoops, that's not what I want. I want to find snow. Snow, snow, snow. Snow. And we go a searching. Again, I need a search feature in here. I kind of feel like it was in here somewhere. Here it is. Okay, so this one Let's make it 0.1. Barely lets any light in. I wish that I could make it tint the light bluish or something. And down. Alright. Snow. Save the blocks. Compile the blocks. Compile the materials. And now, let's see. Come on, let's load the game. I don't like it. And it should not have... It should have let the... See? Oh, it's because I've got to redo the... It's got to re-render those bits, that's why. It's got to recalculate the... It definitely looks more like ice, but I think it's too transparent. And it almost needs to render the insides and the outsides. Like the glass blocks don't, but I think this looks wrong to not render the... So I think it needs to be two-sided. I'm not sure I can do that. Oh, yes, I can. Alright, so in here... Wow, we're getting like some cool purple. It's interesting. Wonder if that's the glass specular. I mean, with this level of transparency, that's like pretty reasonable for the lighting. Anyway, let's play with the snow for a second. So this should be better now. Should be darker. So let's close that off and close this off. Okay, so that's... I think that's... Oh, he's trapped a bird in here. Sorry, birdie. So that may be the best we can do. I'm not sure I can... Let's see. We have like 15 levels of... I think transparency. So we could try like 0.07. See what happens. Wonder if 0.05 would round up or down. Alright, so let's like take the... I kind of want it darker than that is where I'm going. Yeah, and I think... Let me see if I can make this two double-sided, because that would make a big difference. And let me see what it would look like next to rock. So let's make some like solid. Okay, and then I'm going to pick stone. And we'll put some stone back here. Maybe do like this. And then wrap it up. But yeah, I think I want to make it less transparent, because if this was in a dungeon, I really wouldn't want you to be able to see too far through the. Of course, if it's okay, so if it's got the backsides rendered though, that's 2 levels of being able to not see through. So maybe that works okay. Yeah, because it wouldn't render. Yeah, I mean, I kind of like it for a lot of reasons. Oh, that looks cool. I mean, just the stone peeking out from that. I think it looks cool. Anyway, all right. So let's leave that, and let's see if I can make it double-sided. I'm trying to think if I have any others. Call mode off. Which room is this? This is for the water. Okay, so water already does this. Okay, so that's cool for that. And then we're going to have to rerun this to recompile anyway, so we might as well fix snow to see if we can make it darker still. We'll set it down to 0.06 and see if that helps. This could be why I made the snow opaque to begin with, because I couldn't make it do what I wanted. There are enough bugs in the lighting propagation right now that I didn't really want to mess with it, but eventually I would like to have materials that transmit light. Like ice that's in full sun, pure ice, it would be kind of cool if it, if the walls kind of gave off light down and deep. So it kind of acted like fiber optics almost, Okay, so north, let's, oh, no, it's okay, it goes by 5. Goes by 0.5 anyway. Alright. Down 0.5. Alright. And so, save the blocks. Go ahead and save the fluids just in case. Compile the blocks, compile the materials. I hear crickets outside, and I thought it was in my headphones. I thought it was Mythruna outdoor sounds. A lot of times, the outdoor sounds here where I live sound a lot like the Mythruna forest outdoor sounds here in Northern Virginia. That's not an accident, really, because I like that sound, and so I made the wilderness sound that way, but it's still a little unnerving sometimes because I'm not sure which one I'm hearing. Right now I hear a bunch of frogs, I think is what it is, but through the headphones it sounds like crickets. Yeah, it's the frogs. The frogs that live in my swimming pool. That's not really a swimming pool right now. I don't know if you guys can hear them over the microphone. Alright, we're about to see how bad this looks. Yeah, right down to the mourning doves. back up. I keep managing to miss that. If it wasn't a debug window, I'd really worry about it as far as the release goes. But look, hey, we can see the back sides of the... I still almost want to say it's too transparent. But let's see. Can I see into this room? I can kind of see into the room. And we have a sorting problem. That's the issue. So, depending on which one sorts first, the surfaces have a problem. Right, so this doesn't look right because some of the surfaces get invisible because they're drawn before, they're drawn after this one, so the Z buffer thinks it's already full, and so it won't draw those. Whereas from this direction, you know, mostly looks pretty good. Again, we get some bleed though right here. It's unfortunate. Yeah, so I'm not sure this can work, and we should not be getting. No, we're not getting vertical sides. That's fine. Alright, well, let's see how the lighting works. I might just make it opaque again until I can work out that issue. Okay, so it makes it a little darker, which feels fine. Yeah, there's no easy way to fix this. Trying to think. There used to be a trick, right? You get the insides to render always before the outsides. It's not foolproof because it doesn't work through multiple layers necessarily, but okay, let me roll back the sun again to noon. Pause. Let's go play with the snow. Oh, I took the sky out, that's why. Alright, I think that's as good as we're gonna get. And if we were to go deeper, it gets darker. So I think for snow, that's probably okay. This is, again, we're in the noonday sun. And if we open it up, it should get completely, yeah. Of course, there's a bug right here. No, that's actually accurate. This is unfortunate. I can't leave the backsides clear because that looks really bad. But I also can't turn them on because of the sorting. Well, that was a whole lot of goofing around for nothing. Just trying to think if there's some way I can salvage the idea. I could maybe make spots of the ice perfectly clear. And let the specular still hold. That's what the glass specular does. So, and we would still want it double-sided. Okay, if you guys are willing to play with this for a minute, I am. I think it has the potential to look cool if I can get it working right without, you know, without revamping that particular part of the engine. But like, this is going to take too long to load probably. When you have a, so when something gets rendered, it writes to the Z buffer, which basically says, you know, how far away this is from the camera. And then when something gets drawn behind it, you know, it knows, okay, don't render anything here. It doesn't bother to render it. For transparency, that doesn't really work well. You can't completely get rid of it because you still want opaque things to interact with the Z buffer. But for transparent, you want this kind of stuff to come through. And so usually you render back to front. So you'd render this guy first and then this guy. But when you're part of a larger object, it's tough to sort those faces when they're both part of the same object. From one direction, they'll look right, and from the other direction, they won't. And so one way to do that, you know, I made the faces double-sided at the OpenGL level, but one way to do that is actually, you know, if you had, if you're looking at the cube from the top down, you know, each one of these is two faces, one that faces in and one that faces out. And then you set it up to always draw the inside faces first, which means from a particular view like this, they'll always sort, because this is an inside face and this is an outside face, right? And so they'll always sort correctly no matter which view you look at. It gets a little weird when you have another block, you know, over here, because all of the inside faces will be drawn first. So this face will be drawn, then this face will be drawn. And you can get to a point where that's just, so then your outside faces get drawn after, but it's still wrong. You know, and if this one gets drawn first, this one gets occluded, and so on. So it's not a perfect solution. But that requires some revamping of the engine, because I don't have a block factory that can draw double faces, and it's also a lot more geometry, you know, double the geometry. So that's not my preference. So I thought what I might do is I wonder how I created the bump map, because this is, was it created from this? Yeah. Okay. So I wonder, can I select color range? I want to select this. And because the dark places would have been, there's the undersides of the bumps. So I think it's the white that's telling me what it's selecting. We will see in a second. Okay, so we'll take all of these, and I think these are the bottoms of the bumps. We'll take all of these and we'll delete them from this. And why didn't that do what I thought it should do? Oh, because I've still got this up. That's why. Yeah, so see, that cleared out some of the stuff, and I believe it's in line with I would have expected it to be in line with the bottoms of the bump mapping. Yeah, the bump mapping may be upside down. And that's okay. If this is the tops, that's all right too. Anyway, let's... Okay, so kind of it will be semi-transparent. Let's go ahead and export this PNG. Save. Yes, overwrite. Okay, and I want to look at it in the tool. We also have to... There was an alpha threshold that we want to set as well. .1. Sure. Let's see what that does. Alright, so let's go down to the ice. Ice, ice, baby. Okay. Now it should still render oh, but anywhere okay, so it is still rendering the yeah, it still renders the specular over those spots, so it's like it's clear. This is better. Again, it's still not perfect. I think I would need to set the alpha discard threshold higher. Yeah, because this is only happening because of the sorting. It's sorted correctly. However, here it's going to sort all kinds of bad. Let me see what else I can do. If I could select dithered. Can I select color range? Let's go back to here. Nope. No dithering. We could increase what we select a little bit. And then can we no. Okay, so let's delete some more. I should have copied it for, I can remember. Okay. Export this as PNG. Save, save, yes. And then we want to set the alpha discard threshold up to like 0.5. Let's see what that does. Can we salvage this today? Or do I have to make it opaque again? Alright, let's go back down. Ice cube. Okay, we can definitely see all the way through, but it doesn't look like an ice cube so much to me anymore as a ice cage. It's definitely not the effect I want. I think I'm gonna just can this for now. This could work if like the insides were fuzzy. But yeah, until I have like actual two-sided blocks, I don't think I'm going to be able to make this work and make it look okay. In which case, yeah, see with no, it's just all clear. It doesn't look right. Doesn't even color the, yeah. Nope, that's awful. No, I don't think a glow map's going to help. Plus, a glow map will make it glow even when we're underground. Like, if you had ice underground, it would glow. So I'll just go back to making it opaque until I can get the other fixed. I do like the idea of varying the transparency, you know, which I could now do. Right, I could make part of this semi-transparent, you know. But that'll be, when I get the other working, that'll be something we do for another time. Okay, so that's so sad too. It looked really cool. So let me go and save this. Export as PNG. So we're going back to having dirty ice until I can get the sorting worked out. So the other thing we could do, I could try this. I'm trying to think how I would do it, but the idea is to do screen door rendering. Now that would require, to do it properly, I'd have to do it down in the shader, because even if I like clipped every other pixel out, essentially what it means is, you know, if you come down here and you delete this pixel, delete this pixel, delete this pixel, so only 50% of the pixels remain, then you're 50% transparent, and in a way that OpenGL can handle really well. But you want to do that at the pixel level, not at the actual screen pixel level, not the image pixel level. And then it can look really smooth. But that requires shader tricks. That's probably more than I want to get in. Maybe that's something we can do in the next live stream. I do want to do some shader stuff soon. So wait, did I export the PNG already? Okay. And so now I think it's going to be weird that the lighting is the way it is. So I'm going to drop it down to like 25%. We'll change it later. Or maybe I already had it at 25%. I'll drop it down even further. I only changed it for the full ice cube anyway. Oh, and I'm currently rendering. I'm doing a bunch of extra rendering that's not right either. Oh no, we made it 50% transparent. Yeah, so now it's fully opaque again. Just shiny. Very, very, very shiny, impure ice. And before I mess with this, I'm going to fix this to remove all of this stuff. We'll leave the glass specular, that's fine. But we don't need this anymore. At least not for a while. Unfortunate. Disappointing. Because when it worked, it looked really cool. So now that's going to bug me. Alright, so let's drop this down to, let's say 20%. And I haven't fixed all the other ones either, so I think 20 is even probably high, but alright, so let's save the blocks, compile the blocks, compile the materials. It makes me sad. I'm curious about one other thing too. So I'll check that. I want to see what that, if that, the fact that we can walk through corners, if that's something that's specific to the snow and ice blocks, or if it works with anything. Oh, I hear more fireworks off in the distance. Okay, so that's how dark it gets inside of a ice cave. Excuse me. Okay, and this is... Okay, so I can't walk out of the pit. That's at least something. Okay, so let's see if I could walk through the corner of a glass or a grass block. Nope. But for ice blocks, nope, also nope. Okay. Oh, I made it out. I really need to add the auto convert to dirt when you... Okay, so for dirt blocks, I don't seem to be able... Oh, no, I can pop through there too. Neat. That's what you call not good. Oops. Will it work if I don't... if I have thicker walls? Okay, so that seems to be okay. Yeah, interesting. Somehow we teleport through. I wonder if it's a recent phenomenon. Anyway. Alright, that was a long trip for something that now is just going to bug me. Alright, but let's call that done enough. I had only put it in as let light come through. So we can say, yeah, well, we do let some light through. Call that done. Poop. The other thing I really wanted to get done is to make sure that the dungeon prototype wand can't encroach on other properties. Like right now, the dungeon wand could be used to grief people's properties, and that's not good. Poop. I'm disappointed about the ice because it was starting to look really cool. Okay, so what do we want to see? We want to see the dungeon one, and somewhere in here there's a place where I say here we would check to see if we're about to dungeon generator. Make the perms check based on the whole dungeon area and not just the click. And we want to do the permissions checks earlier. Because here's where we do the clicking. Oh, but that's the other kind of click. We want the alt main main place. I think actually is place. Place. On placed. See, by the time we get to on placed, it's too late. So let me see if it's already a dungeon in this area. Okay, that worked. And so if we do first, let's see if we can even do the thing where we're clicking. Permission to place a dungeon here. Place. Okay, so I should be able to try to place one. I just want to be super clear about this. I should have been working on this instead of the ice blocks, to be honest, because this is a big area for grief possibility, which makes my job harder as a server admin. Because the dungeon generation is straightforwardly dumb about where it places the dungeon. So you can do some strange things with it. Uh-oh. Alright, what did I do wrong? Line 1440. Oh, I do this all the time. I don't know how I end up getting rid of those. Somehow when I cut and paste, I get rid of the curly braces. Alright, exit. I really love that error dialogue. I'm so glad I put it in. I have a bunch of zip reports I need to go through at some point, but from local testing. Like, I'll go back and look at that later. But it's convenient to be able to capture them and move on. If you guys create any cool basic clothing items that you want added to the standard set for when we're building a character, you know, if they're pretty generic, you can send me the export and I'll put them in. I may tweak them a little bit, but all right. Light outside again. There we go. Come on, UI, catch up. Okay. Alright, so what I want to see here, let me go ahead and show the properties so we can see where the boundaries are. So this is my property here. This character's property, that's why it's cyan. So if I pick the dungeon wand up, I'm holding it in my hand now, and I go over here. First of all, let me see which way I'm facing. Okay, so dungeons grow this way. So if I were to try to place a dungeon here, I should not be allowed to do so. Hopefully it won't. Okay, it's definitely running my code. No such property loc. Okay, yeah, so I screwed something up. But it is definitely running my code. Okay. That's all I need for real. So we can do this. Okay, and then the next thing would be, the thing is, like, a dungeon can take up, that's not what I want. That's what I want. You know, normally you place an object, it goes on the place you place it, but a dungeon actually, it grows, you know, hugely out here. And so, like, if you were right next to somebody's property and you placed one, I should also not allow you to do that. So I need to check the whole dungeon area to make sure it's not going to mess up somebody's area property. So I need to do intersection tests with the claims that are in this area. And I can't remember if I already have a intersects test. I have a contains, I have an intersects. Okay, so if we make a claim area like we're going to create a dungeon, like just the object itself. Oh yeah, it's not even testing. Okay, cool. So dungeon wand. I think it's find claims. I just had these open and I closed them. Property. Base property. So find claims the location. So find claims loc each. No, let's do for claim. That way I can break out a loop early if I don't like it. Okay. Candidate equals new claim area. Let's see. I think that a dungeon generates plus or minus. Let's see what the dungeon one does. I think I can set the size when I create it. Maybe not. Let me actually read the code instead of just trying to pick out what I want. So we call create dungeon. That creates the entity. Okay. It's poorly named. Okay, so those are the things to draw, the objects in the rooms. We don't run that. Level count, room size, create the dungeon generator. So create the dungeon generator. Map size is fixed. So it's going to be 80 by 80 max. Centered around the one edge. So if we go back to where we were, right here, and we do it's going to be min max depth height. So min is going to be subtract nothing in the x, nothing in the y, 40 in the z, and the max is going to be add 80 in the x, 0 in the y, and 40 in the z, and then -1, -1. Yep, that's good. And so then if candidate intersects claim, you do not have permission to place a dungeon here. It intersects other property. Okay. I've got all my curly braces. All right. Let's see. Was I able to do all of that in less time than we messed around with the ice? Yeah, ice may be the reason that I implement screen door rendering. Need to research some dithering patterns because I want it to be variable transparency as well. Yeah, screen door can really work well on the more pixels you have, the better it works, in fact. You know, and at 50% you're rendering half the pixels, so. Alright, so let's put the lighting back up to something. Okay. So let's turn property back on so I can see where the borders are. And I've got my dungeon one selected, I believe. Yep, it's in my hand. Okay, so we should not be able to place one here. You do not have permission to place a dungeon here. Okay, so let's roll back over here. Let's go super fast. Like Sonic the Hedgehog. Okay, I should also not be able to place it here. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay, it tried. Could not find matching constructor for claim area. What are you gonna do? This is the downside of scripting, is that you do not get the compile errors when you do something like forget to put this. And that's why generally for these constructors, in fact, let's fix that. For the constructors that take shorts, I usually go ahead and let them take int, and then I convert them to short in here. I think that still works. Yeah, going this direction works. Yeah. That also means I can do this and this as well. Save me a future headache. Okay, let's try again. We're getting close. So the other thing I want to do is right now Mythruna.com is a why am I suddenly drawing a blank on what that really common content management platform is that everyone uses? WordPress. And that's kind of overkill for just, I would rather have a static site, and you guys on the Discord were nice enough, both on the Mythruna or SimSilica channels and as well as the JMonkey Engine channels, I think, to provide me a bunch of references on different ways to statically generate a site, different tools. So I started looking into that and finding a theme I like and so on and so forth. But also I don't want to lose my download counters, so I'm trying to figure out how to implement download counters on an otherwise static site without creating a bunch of new problems for myself. So, and it could be I just have to let standard analytics take care of that. But I really like having the download counts on the page. And I can't, that's not something that's easy to do on a static site, as far as I can tell. All right, so again, let's bring up the property. Okay, so now we can see it, and we should not be able to place, let me make sure I'm facing in the right direction. Yep, we should not be able to place a dungeon here. Boink. We didn't even get a message, though. Maybe I need to wait for my log to, I bet we got an error, and I just can't see it. Why so much logging, though? Okay, so yeah, we did get an error, and I just didn't see it. Integer. Did I not save? Vec3D, oh, Vec3D. Poop. Poopy schmoopy. So I could have anyway. This will work. It's not the most efficient way, but it'll work. But I really need to figure out where all this logging is coming from all of a sudden. Leaf edits. Why am I getting... Oh. I ran time forward, you know, local time, visual time, but the actual time clipped over from nighttime to daytime, and so all of the moon gates in the world that have been generated flipped over from being on to off, and so we got, yeah, WordPress. That's right. The chat lag, I really wish we had like a more less laggy chat makes the conversations less interactive. And I don't know if Twitch would be better for that. But that's one of the more frustrating things about the YouTube streaming is how lagged the chat messages seem to be. And to be honest, it could be partially OBS. Since I'm not actually watching this on YouTube, I don't know how laggy the chat is. So anyway, we should be able to run time forward a little bit and turn on the property. We're still getting a lot of log. Let me just see what they are. New world preloader. Oh, it's still loading the... Essentially, we jumped into the world before the preloader was even done. Oh no, this is just log lag. We're well beyond that at this point. Okay, so let's show the properties. Let's see, will it keep me from doing it? Boink. Another error. Is it a different error? Missing no signature method, claim error area intersects. What? Intersects. Yeah, so when I'm on the live stream, we get a lot of these zone update. Because when you're running single player, it's still a networked game. It's just you're running your own little local server, private local server. But networking can still cause latency and so on and so forth. So apparently it says I don't have an intersects. I thought we verified that I do have an intersects. Oh. Duh. These are returning entities to me, not the actual claim areas. I have to grab that on the entity. It was probably telling me that in the error that was an entity ID and not a claim area. So no, I was not able to do this in less time than we futzed around with the ice blocks and stuff. This simple change took me what has been like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Here's another thing. If you guys have like, so a game has a website, right? Mythruna has a website. You know, Skyrim had a website. Oblivion had a, all these different games, they have their own website. If there's been a game website that you remember, man, I really liked the theming of that website. They did a good job. There's different ways to organize a game website. And if you've found one that's particularly eye-catching or whatever, shoot me a link. I'm not above borrowing someone else's like layout if it works well. So if you know of any particular cool game websites, not like gaming, but for a particular specific game kind of thing. I'm currently collecting ideas. Okay, so let's let the log catch up. And let's try to place the thing. Whoop! Yay! We do not have permission to place a dungeon here. And so I also shouldn't be able to do it over here because it should still intersect like right there. So if I try to do it here, also can't do it. If I go far enough away to the east, I should be able to do it. This is not far enough yet, I'm pretty sure. Nope. Okay. So let's try way over here. I can place one in my own, so I should be okay. Let's try right on this little dot right here. Boink. Nope, still too close. Is that right? I am maybe still within range. Let's just try getting super far away to be sure. Let's try here. Yay! Let me place a dungeon. And we'll know it's fully there when it... Man, this is expensive as far as resources go. So yay, we were able to place a dungeon. And I don't know if that's... So this... That's 32. I'm pretty sure it intersects my property. Or close. It's weird that it wouldn't let me place it with it anyway. I now don't have a dungeon one unless I go down into this dungeon and find it. Anyway, so yeah, if you guys think of anything, I'm going to run through this dungeon real quick if you want to watch. So I can go retrieve my wand. But otherwise, I'm just taking questions now because I'm not going to work on anything else tonight. So I need to go around the loop and then straight and back. So it's dark. Okay, let me turn off the grid. Okay, so around the loop. Okay, somewhere I need to turn, and I think that was a while back already. Ah, here's the way down. Okay, we fall down. Check which one we're at. We are right here. So if we head straight back, we should hit a down. I need to fix the dungeon generation to generate stairs instead of just these trapdoor kind of situations, and I need to close the gap between the floors. Okay, so we should have just entered right. We're in the middle of a thing here. Oh, we're over here. We're the black ones where we came down. So this is where we are. And so I'm going to cheat. If I head straight back through here and then drill through the wall, because I can still use magic wands in here. So we ought to be able to drill straight through. A lot farther than I thought, though. And then straight back was where the other... That's why I wanted to do this. Okay, so here's the other drop. YouTube tells me there's still 4 of you on, but you aren't being very talkative, so that's cool. Okay. Wow. Okay, so I've got to go... I've just got to follow the right wall all the way around. They really put the downward thing, so I just got to drag my hand along the right wall, basically. So, drag my hand along the right wall. Whoa. Okay. Those dark corners are the ones that get me, and I think that's where I'm going to hide some nasties. 'Cause there's those... Like these, they're like completely dark. Of course, I can cheat a little bit because I've got the build wand, but that would be the good place to hide the spiders. And the logs are going crazy down there. I need to do one more pass through the logs before I cut the release tomorrow. to get rid of as much of the extra logging as I can. At some level it slows the game down, so it's better anyway. Alright, so we should be getting close to that final room where, there it is. So this would have been like a boss room here with some treasure chests in. If we had creatures, that'll be soon. That'll be what I'm working on the rest of the summer. Okay, so we're down here, and this is the last level, so my dungeon thing should be drag my hand along the left wall. Maybe. It tries to put it as far from the entrance as possible. If you guys haven't had a chance to explore one of these dungeons in game, I highly recommend checking it out. What kind of enemies do you have planned, like sort of themed around them or something? Yeah, like all kinds. They're going to be spiders, and because you have to have giant rats. If you don't have giant rats, then you can't be called a Dungeons and Dragons style game. You can't have a dungeon crawler without giant rats, so there'll be giant rats. So there's my build wand. I can take it back, and I can hit the teleporter. Return to entrance. Yay! Okay, so I'm back at the entrance. There'll be skeletons. So those of you who've made it this far through the video, I have an idea for how to automatically scale enemies with power. For example, let's say like the pile of bones are what generates the skeletons, right? And so you've killed some skeletons and you're still like a low level guy, and so you eventually find the pile of bones, which is where all the skeletons are generating, and I'm just speaking hypothetical at this point. And so you whack away at it, you know, chipping hit points off of it here and there, and eventually, you know, after, you know, you drop 50 or 60 hit points off of the pile of bones, it gets destroyed and no more skeletons get generated in that dungeon. But let's say you're a super powerful character that has, you know, magic items, and you can do 50 points of damage in one swing and so on and so forth. Then when you hit that super high, when you hit that bone pile and you knock it out in one hit or two hits, essentially your attacks are charging that thing. And while, you know, one or two players chipping at it, you know, one or two hit points at a time wasn't going to charge it, somebody like rapidly hitting it twice and knocking it out is going to cause, you know, sort of a boss to form or something like that. So that's the idea, is as you get more powerful, you can choose to slow roll things if you want so that you don't trigger the bigger bosses, but that's how I plan to implement sort of auto scaling without being like Oblivion style, really get wrecked by a boar auto scaling. So essentially be based on, because like it's tough to decide how powerful a player is by what they're carrying or what their skills. Seems that might not along with your hit points. Okay, maybe I missed a message. So you know how you made it so you can chop mine parts of blocks. Would be cool if that happened to enemies, but on a smaller scale, so you can bash their head. Or yeah, no, I plan to, if I can, have targeted hit points like the old RuneQuest. Probably I'm going to show my age, but there used to be a role-playing game system out when Dungeons & Dragons first came out called RuneQuest, and it was very much like that. You could actually have your arm chopped off if they got through your armor and stuff, and you could lose limbs and just keep playing the game as righty or lefty. And then sometimes you could find a healer or whatever that could give you an arm back. But yeah, no, I would like to have targeted hit points. The whole point behind being able to, you know, so if I take off my shirt, so if I remove my shirt, you know, the skin that's drawn here is drawn just like the fabrics. It's a particular material that's drawn first before all of the fabrics. So I could have other kinds of, when we're drawing, like when we draw the clothing with swatches, I could have scars and cuts and bruises and things that could be drawn on the skin itself. I would like to have skeletons underneath the players so that if like their skin like gets knocked all the way through, you might be able to see the gore and viscera underneath. I don't know if I'll be able to get to that, but that's the idea, is the fact that I have these layered fabrics and that the skin is just another fabric. It gives me some flexibility to try some neat things and see if they work. But yeah, I would like definitely if you whack somebody in their arm, that's where the cut should show. If you had chainmail on your arm and somebody chopped you there, that chop would have to make it through that chainmail, and that chainmail would get damaged. So if you hit them harder than the chainmail could take, then the arm would take damage. And because the chainmail is drawn on just like anything else, the chainmail would lose parts. And the next time you got hit there would be no chainmail protection. That's the plan, right? Whether I can get as specific as that with the particular collision shapes I've got, I don't know. But that's the way the clothing system is set up. The ability to, the ability to have like all of this stuff. So if say this was chainmail, and this character got whacked right here, then they don't have any chainmail there anymore, right? They would have to go back to an armorer and have that chainmail added back, put back like that, that kind of thing. So you could have multiple layers, leather on chain, and these will have weight and they'll fatigue you. All the other standard kind of D&D survival things that I can put in, not to harass the player, but to make choices matter. Yeah, no, I have not. I don't like zombie games. I'm kind of over zombied at this point. So I have not played any zombie games since Minecraft, basically. Minecraft was the last zombie game I played, I think. Is that true? I feel like there was something else I played that had zombies in it. Mythruna will not have zombies in the classic sense, though there are... yeah, Left 4 Dead is a classic. There are some races that will be in Mythruna eventually, sometime after dragons. They won't be zombies, but that might be, without giving too much away, that might be what people think at first. Anyway, I don't want to get too much into spoilers. I want to save some surprises for the future, but anyway, that's my idea for the whole reason I did this way. Well, not the whole reason, but one of the reasons I did this way was because I want to be able to have, if you get hit here, it takes away however much damage, it makes its way all the way through. So if there was chain and leather and the chain blocked it mostly and the leather could take the rest of the damage, that's fine. But that way, you can make the choice between weight and flexibility and so on and so forth. And, plate armor obviously would be heavier, but would block a lot more hits. Anyway, so that's my ideas. Oh, yes, absolutely. Oh, yes. That's why I have corn. Sort of the... Like, we already have... yeah, okay, cool. Like, there's the flora, and we have... Do I not put it in flora? To give it its own... Yeah, corn. Yeah, so you have like different So right now you can just manually place them, but there are different levels. Oh, okay, so that's like you can't even see that. So let me put that on the dirt. So you have like different levels of corn. So that's like just barely sprouts. Whereas if we go up to like level 5, you know, we can see the corn that's actually grown. And if you go up to level 7, that's where it's actually got corn on the stalks. And then if you go up to level 8, that's where you better harvest it soon because your corn's already like turned into like dry stuff. So it's basically dead. You waited too long, kind of thing. So yeah, they'll be farming. This is sort of my initial just graphics that I was creating to just test out corn rows, and that's why if you wander around the world, there's all kinds of big farms, and they've got plowed rows and rows of corn, because that's the only, that and pumpkins are the only vegetable at the moment. And of course they're giant pumpkins right now, but that's yeah, so we got big giant pumpkins. So with player properties, will you make it so you can add players to it so you could make your... Yep. That's not enabled yet. That's the one feature old Mythruna had that new Mythruna doesn't. Old Mythruna, even for your little... so this blue area here is this character's stronghold. Basically, I place that down. It can be like a maximum 32 by 32 area, and I can build my own little house in here, and it's protected. And I can, in old Mythruna, you could give badges to other players to let them edit in your stuff. And for towns, which is what, like this could be bigger than this, but towns can be quite large, towns and cities, you could actually give players subplots. So you could place a plot down and you could give them that plot. So you could sort of plan your town and give them areas to build in. That old Mythruna had that. I just have not ported it to the new Mythruna yet. But that's going to come real soon now that I'll be putting the public server open for everyone. I'll definitely want to grant people towns, and they'll want to let people build. We'll kind of have to see how it goes, because old Mythruna, everything was combined in one little tight little area as compared to this world. Yeah, you'll be able to be mayor of a town through some questing process. But yes, basically, yeah. I want to have all different kinds of career tracks. Again, I'm speculating. I want to do all these things. That doesn't mean they'll be physically possible, but that's the plan. Like if you want to be an airship captain and create your airship and constantly improve it, build one from scratch or buy one, look for parts for better mechanics and make it more efficient and travel cargo and build onto it and buy a better ship. If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. If you want to work through the guild system to be eventually able to have your own town, the airship does not actually work yet, but it will. This is going to be a real thing. This is the initial airship design, which is just a small boat that's been converted, because most of the airships are going to be converted sea vessels. So, but there's some stuff that has to happen before I can make this move properly. So it's just an object in the game at the moment. But yeah, so eventually this will be something that you could buy or build if you know how to do the wiring and whatnot, and you have the equipment and the anti-grav materials you need, because obviously that ship as it stands would not really fly. So there's always a combination of some kind of anti-grav plating and the envelopes, the airbags. You could build your own. Yeah, because I created that ship in the game, and then I turned it into an object. So that's how I made it. Like I literally built it in water, and then there's an extractor wand you can use to extract objects, which is sort of a debug tool. but eventually you'll be able to build your own of whatever crazy design you want, and there'll have to be some kind of physical constraints to make it logical. But that's the way it's supposed to work. So you'd have to balance the weight of your ship against the anti-grav material, which is super rare, that you would have to collect, that could help balance the buoyancy of the weight, and then some kind of lift material, or the same kind of magic that works. The anti-grav can be used for propulsion as well, or there'll be mechanical propeller propulsion as well as the linkages and things. That's the whole plan anyway. Again, this is my dream goals, and as a life project, I don't know when I'll get to that, but that's the goal. And I really want airships, because that's what I want to do. Is I want to fly an airship around to get around the world. I want to sail sailing ships, and I want to fly airships around. That's my own goal. So that'll be thing. I also want to do dungeon crawls. I think it'd just be cool to be scooching around in your airship, because you're building a map that you want to sell to somebody, or you've got cargo you're trying to get from from here to some town, and you're surfing along and you happen to see, oh wait, there's a dungeon over there. Maybe I'll land here and check it out. Maybe they've got maybe down in there is some tinkerer's shop that had a bunch of old treasure that's got old gears and stuff that I might be able to use to build up better engines and stuff for my airship, that kind of thing. Will there be cannons you can put on? I can't decide. There'll be magic, and so I don't know if I'll need gunpowder, But yeah, to be able to shoot other things, sure, why not? While we're speculating. That's the plan. Grappling hooks so you can pirate. Catch other ships. What good are ships if you can't have pirates, right? So anyway, that's the plan. Plans don't always come true. Don't SWAT my house if I don't get this stuff done, or harass my family and so on and so forth. But that's the plan. Yeah. I think that medieval fantasy starts to get boring right on the cusp of gunpowder, but I'm already delving into steampunk a little bit, what I call magic punk, because there'll be steam powered stuff, but it'll usually be magic fired boilers, because why mess with coal and stuff if you can have a more stable heat source that's easier to control anyway. So how would medieval society have developed if there were magic elements that could be used similar to the way that we combine other alchemical things? So I plan to explore that a little bit from a story perspective. Anyway, that's all I have time for tonight, but the discussions have been really good, and of course you can continue to ask these sorts of things on the Discord, and you can join the Discord by going to the link in the upper left and putting the password dragon in, and that has the link to the Discord if you're not already a member. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and hit the thank you page. So thanks for watching. If you are not subscribed, please subscribe. There will be a release tomorrow. For the people on the Discord, I will announce it, let people try it out, and then later this week I'll publish a public version with some version of the website. I haven't decided exactly when that's going to happen, but you can already get it by hitting the link that was in the thing, but that'll be up tomorrow. Don't know when exactly tomorrow, but sometime tomorrow. So thanks for joining, and I will see you guys online. Thanks.